All right. I see everyone like that one. We got everybody screaming on that one. It's about time.
I was super shy as a kid. You know, getting up, it was not pleasant to connect with the crowd or to talk to the crowd, or very first show, like between songs, you know, someone broke a guitar string. It's like, how do you like the show so far? You know, like 2 songs in, and it's like, I don't like this part. It feels uncomfortable, like I'm supposed to be filling in time, or, you know, uncomfortable silence, you know. I have to fill that in, and I don't. It's okay. Being more of just myself, not trying to be greater than, not trying to be up on the pedestal, being one of many works really well. Being a part of the crowd and embracing whatever mood I'm in. You know, there are times when I'm out on stage and I'm feeling a little whatever, tired or grumpy or whatever it may be. I'll just say that into the mic just to get it out, and then it's done. It's gone. I've surrendered that, you know. Sorry, I'm not in the best of mood, but, you know, hopefully you guys will get me out of that. And that works. It really does work. Just being honest, talking to the crowd like you're one of them, you know, they're one of you. Talking to the crowd as it's a conversation. It's like it's another person. It's not like, you know, a mass of people, or I have to do something special. I mean, even just talk to an individual, like, hey, you look familiar, and blah, 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 you know. Just make it a personal conversation that draws the crowd right in. Other times when I'm just in not the best of moods, I will pick someone out that I know is just so full of energy and so giving. I will just go to them, and I'll, you know, I'll borrow some of that energy from them that night. And that'll give me, okay, there's a great reminder that, hey, what we're doing is special. And this moment is special. That person is enjoying this. Why am I in a funk? You know, I'll get out of that.
When you're touring a lot, not just changing the set list, but really feeding off the fans, and the energy coming back can really help you going when you're just slogging months and months of endless touring. And so I always try to, like, when I get up on stage after the first song or two, I go all the way out to the end of the stage and get, like, right in the faces of the fans. I'm not hiding behind the drums or, you know, cowering or whatever you say. I'm just like, go into the energy, go into your fear, have eye contact, and just really go into it rather than hide away from it. When we're playing in really big places, definitely try to have as much eye contact with as many people in the front row in the snake pit, but also the old 1,000-yard stare. Don't forget about the people that are 200 yards away, and sort of also try to project to them in the back.
It's weird because, like, if I look at my guitar too much, you know, I forget about the audience. If I look at the audience too much, I get distracted from what I'm doing with my guitar. So, you know, I've learned to keep a balance. And so walking out into an audience and seeing all these faces, you know, different shapes, sizes, looks, whatever, I'm a little overwhelmed by it all, really. And I really have to, like, bring myself back and just, you know, pay attention to my instrument and just kind of put that in the forefront. But don't forget about, you know, projecting and paying attention to the audience, because that's such a huge part of it too. But I also feel the audience, and I think we all do. You know, you go out there and you can feel the energy. I mean, palpably. I mean, you can really feel it. It's how you carry yourself, how you project yourself, your awareness, your perception of the situation. It's really important. And I've learned to, like, walk out and like kind of, like, you know, see the lay of the land in like 30 seconds and just know what it's like.
When I first joined the band, it was a challenge because, like James says, you really have to get it ingrained in you. That's the way you get the best result with these songs. And Lars says, you know, when you get it in your head and it becomes too much something that's kind of in your brain, you know, rather than feeling it, it's not the same thing. So with all these songs, because there's so many twists and turns, you want it to become a part of you internally and you want to feel it.
Our choice of communicating music is not through the sheet music way, and none of us can really read that, at least that well. So it has to start up here. You have to learn it, then you have to memorize it, then you have to internalize it, and then it has to sort of get out into your body and become like muscle memory and become physical.
I mean, you know, ideally what you want to do is you want the song to flow through you without thinking, just like you walk or breathe. I mean, literally, you want to know the song that well, so you hear the title and you just go out there and do it, just like you would just like take a walk in the park. And that takes a lot of rehearsal, a lot of repetition, but it's worth it when you get to that part, because you'll be able to play that song in any sort of situation. Just see it on the list, done. You know?
The other thing,
no hesitation.
The other thing that's super important is you're playing in front of people. And that will also kind of create some, you know, some strange energy in you. And that could be a very difficult thing too. When you're up there in front of a lot of people, or even sometimes it could just be 10 people or 5 people. Doesn't matter. Whenever there's somebody that is checking you out, judging you, there's that pressure. So you want to be prepared.
There's a real interesting thing that we work with a lot when we're recording, which is the phrase, play it like you own it. What happens when you rehearse and what happens when you tour a lot is that these songs they become more physical, they become more muscle memory, they become embedded in you, and that's when you start owning the songs. And you don't sort of have to sit there, okay, I'm playing this part, and what's the next part? Oh shit, I just fucked up and I forgot the next part, you know, that kind of thing. Like you get like, it's all like up here. But when you play, you rehearse it, you sit, you know, you're on tour, you start owning the song, and it just becomes like a physical thing.
When you're out there on stage and you get into your rhythm and your flow and your groove and your conditioning, you know, it's like you're doing a dance with the audience and they're part of that energy too. But it's also a lot of interaction and, you know, playfulness. And we all know each other so well. Certain parts of songs, we almost know that we're going to come together at that moment and we're going to rock out together and kind of find that moment on stage, no matter how big or small. You know, we'll find each other and we'll find that moment, you know. It's cool.
I mean, there is one thing that we do that like 99% of like most performing musicians in bands do, is that we look at each other and do the big nod. Now.
Now what?
We got 2 songs we want to play, man. I don't know which one.
When we're up on stage, there is definitely, after almost 4 decades together, there is an unspoken language. We can tell the moods, the body language, you know. It just goes with trusting each other and depending on each other for just about 40 years. I have a very special connection to everybody up here, but I have a very special connection to James in that James is the primary tonal instrument in my ears. And
primary, you mean only?
The only.
He's talking about his ear monitors.
In my ears.
Not in his...
In my ears, on stage.
Not in his
the only thing I hear is James.
We have in-ears, which, you know, we play with the in-ears in, so it's basically your own tiny headphones, and you get to have whatever mix you want in there. So, like, you know, Lars says, James is, you know, a football field away at the very front of the snake pit, and he's back there, and it's like I'm right next to him because I got him in here, and it's the same way. You know, we're right there, so we're hearing each other in real time, even though we're far away.
I've always, since the first day we were playing music in Metallica, James and I have just this connection. So I play to the guitar riff, and everything about these songs is basically written between the drums and the guitar riff. So James is my partner in any live experience.
I think communicating sometimes like between Lars and I think he can tell if he's starting to, he has a tendency, I know, to get so excited about playing and then just end up going faster than he thinks he's going faster. I think he does that in his car as well. You know, all of a sudden, I'm going a little fast here, you know, and I will try and drag it back a little bit because I know he's hearing me, and then he'll, oh, okay, and then he'll pull it back a little bit. I guess that's one way that him and I communicate up on stage. And I know also we can tell from each other when we're sitting there like in a bad mood or shame or something around, oh, I screwed this part up. And I can tell when Lars is looking down at his snare and it's like, okay, he needs a hug. You know, we'll go out and hang around him a little bit and it's like, it's okay. And I'll get in those moods too where you just know, like, there are parts of songs where we hang out together and I don't know, when I'm in one of my moods, I don't go over and do that. And it's like, okay, he's having his mood and okay. So, but we're okay with that. But we can tell, you can tell when something's amiss on the stage. And that's when you go, all right, he's struggling. I'm going to pick it up and I'm going to, you know, I got his back and I'm going to carry this song as, you know, as much as I can.
And I always know I can instantly, within 30 seconds when we get up on stage, James is in this kind of mood, he's in that kind of mood, he's in a great sharing mood, he's sort of putting himself out there, he's a little reserved today, he needs a couple minutes to get his game face on or whatever. I'm really tethered to him, maybe even to a fault, or too much, and I can tell, you know, but everything, he's sort of my connection to everything that's going on in the arena and the stadium, whatever, basically just goes through James. And it's been like that for 40 years in October, and hopefully for another 40 years at least. It's everything I hear, and it's just everything that I sort of feel with the music and all that is just tethered, piggybacking, and completely connected to James, his guitar, and obviously his vocals, and also sort of his, I always know where he is. I'm sitting, I know he's over here, I know he's over there, I know he's out there, I know where he's looking, I know what he's feeling, what he's thinking. So
What about right now?
I know exactly what you're thinking, and I know
Maybe
exactly
you should get a
what it's going
restraining order, bro. Well, I just have to say, you know, when I walk out on that stage and we do our thing, first song, and I just look back and I see these three guys and I go, God damn, I'm on stage with some of the best musicians in the goddamn world, and I'm playing with them. And I look at these guys and I go, I can't think of anyone else I'd rather be in a band with. Even when we were playing One today, there's this one part, you know, the melodic part. He's playing a melodic line, and Lars is doing the chat on the snare, and I just love it when he does that, and I just love cozying up to him on the stage just to play that part with him, regardless that there's 60,000 people right here, you know? I just want to get close to him and play that part because that you know, that musical connection, you know, it reaches into a really, really deep part of me. And, you know, when that happens, I open up and it's just like hear everyone playing, and it's just a great feeling for me. Sometimes I just start going up to you and headbanging. I was like, and I totally forget that we're playing a show. I'm just headbanging.
I can't even get near these two guys during that song, man. Kurt's taking up the whole front of the, you know, front of the drum riser. When I joined Metallica, It was really a bit of a surreal moment, let's say, because everything about it was different than what I had ever experienced in my life. The workload was much more intense. The press was much more intense.
You've been in the band for 5 minutes and already you're an icon.
It's such an honor, and I'm stoked. So
I realized that this is the way it's going to be, at least for now. I'm going to be playing catch up. They've got an extensive catalog that has existed for so many years, and nobody knows exactly what we're going to play, so just be ready. So I always sort of had some paper and a pen or pencil with me to figure out and chart out music at the last minute, because I never knew what I was going to get. And obviously that made me a better player. It made me a better person. My work ethic had to grow. I could never phone it in. And then I realized I got to be 10 steps ahead of these guys. So I started learning songs like Call of Cthulhu and Orion and Dyer's Eve. And these were songs that were nowhere on the radar. They were not on the radar yet. But I thought to myself, okay, these guys they're gonna throw this at me at some point in the next few years, and I better be ready, because it's not gonna be about waiting for Trujillo. It's gonna be about, you know what I mean? It's gonna be about pulling it off. So I started thinking ahead and working on stuff before we actually played it. And then, of course, eventually we did play all these songs, which is great, because I love those songs. They're classics, and I really wanted to play them anyway. So thank God we got to play them. Hopefully we'll play them in the future. So now I want to get into the role of the bass and how it relates to Metallica. Now, within this band, you can have many different sounds. I always like to start from sort of the basic structure of the instrument in the power and the rawness of just a regular passive, sound, passive electronics, I should say, bass. And that would be sort of your classic Fender P bass model. And that, for me, is always a great place to start, because it really sort of relies on, again, I equate this instrument with space, power, and finding the balance within a song. Some of the songs require more relentlessness and a lot more technique. These are great for that, but at the same time, if you get something that's active electronics, and the sound would then cut in a different way, but then also there's a certain amount of physicality involved, so you're moving a lot more, and there's a bit of precision in your technique that's involved with that. That's also important to Metallica too. A song like, for instance, Master of Puppets, you've got. That's a lot of movement, but it's necessary, and you want to get that down in your sound. This particular bass, which is a Warwick, it's my 4-string, it's one of my go-tos. It's got the power, but it's also got the presence. So it sits really well within the instruments in Metallica. There are a variety of sounds to choose from. Already looking at the pedal board here, I see chorus. It's almost like it's got a glassy tone to it. Great for harmonics. It's a beautiful, it's actually something like, That is a little intro piece to one of the songs on our Hardwired album. But that actually is a beautiful glassy tone that lends itself to that chordal movement. So we have that sound. We've got the classic kind of, here we go, Leslie sound, which is. know, little details like that in sound are great. So it's nice to have a pedal board with a lot of flexibility and some variety. I always love the delay. Here's a short delay. Yeah. And then when you add that to like a kind of a solo, it's nice. It's kind of a swimming sound. It flies around. That works real well, especially for solo moments within a show. Occasionally we do that. It's always nice to have a little bit of that short delay wetness on there. So with the delay and a lot of edge and bite in the sound, you can really do some cool stuff. For a song like Bells, For Whom the Bell Tolls, you get that. Okay, there you go. It's always important to do what's best for the song. And sometimes the best is, again, simplicity. And sometimes it's, you know, or whatever it is, find it and apply it as best as you can. Of course, you find your role and you find your place with the bass and where it sits and how it supports, whether it's like mimicking the guitar part or just, you know, supplying the bottom end, you know what I mean? Guitar might be going, but that doesn't mean you need to go. You don't always have to get busy. You can just supply the pulse. Sometimes that's all you need. Find the role of the bass and how it works best for the song, and enjoy yourself. I think that's the way to roll.